See, that's where you guys had a big advantage. You had a night shift. We had a very small night crew. You guys had a legitimate night shift. I don't know why, no matter where you get the points, it shouldn't matter, but it does hit the confidence. So you guys did well there.
Yeah, we took pride in having that international team, and then even the guys that lived in the U.S. Like we had a lot of night owls that would play well through into the early morning, and like yeah, we took pride in that. So we felt that every hit that you guys gave us during the day, we could counter back at night, and that's definitely that was one of our strong points.
For sure. All right, next up, let's talk about Taiwan Star. Johnny, what you got?
That was fun. I gotta admit. And guys, I am sorry because I don't understand the characters. I'm not gonna have actual names for you, but
That's fine.
there was a couple of guys we talked to from Taiwan. And the funny thing is they came in, they agreed like this. I know it upset a lot of their sub clans. They were like, we got to take down Slavo and those KS, this and that. So we were like, all right, let's talk. The funny thing is, we were in negotiations with Samurai Japan right before that, set up the line account or the line app, and we were doing real well with that one, but they were dragging their feet. I think we would have got that done, but that one felt temporary. The Taiwan one felt like it was a permanent thing. Later, I found out that they were all receiving, I don't know, they were receiving some kind of endorsement or something like that in Taiwan where they were all being paid to play the game. When that dried up, so did our merger. So now in hindsight, I wish we would have went with Samurai, obviously. But yeah, we had a nice run with Taiwan. That was another 4 streak. And yeah, it was good.
There's definitely some big players that came from Taiwan. I just remember, obviously, Clark. Clark Sai had a really solid performance. Yet Forget You was just another guy that literally is just accurate as can be and just dominates, wherever he plays. Like you mentioned, I wish I could translate the names more, but there was definitely a handful of people that gave us trouble.
I'm glad you brought up those two because those two did almost all the negotiating. And Clark Sai, interesting story. Let's see, the second battle we had with them, he had alcohol poisoning, so he couldn't battle.
Wow.
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, he was in the hospital, but I think a week. It was scary. So, yeah, but those were good times. And they're great people. I loved Taiwan as a whole. They're just great people.
Who approached who in that situation at that time?
They came to us.
Gotcha.
And I believe they came to us to the clan first. We didn't have a way to connect outside of them just coming to the bulletin. So they came in, and that was tough to translate everything. And then we developed the Line app, which I think has the best by far translation app out there, and that made it easy.
I will say it's kind of poetic as far as Taiwan Star, I guess for the ones that don't realize, they were from Star Moon. So Star Moon, when they saw what we were building and the depth we had, they realized that they couldn't compete with just having one clan. And instead of growing clans organically and trying to open them up and stuff like that, TC Dog, shout out to him. He ended up being able to get all the Taiwan clans that were up there in the top 20 and the top 50, and he got them all to work together under an alliance, and they called themselves the Star Alliance, and they ended up becoming Taiwan Star. Yeah, they did a lot of good things. I know they were coming up short. They were coming up, I think, like second and third around the same time we were competing against each other. And yeah, I mean, your best enemy is, the person that's right next to you that's going to be able to take down number one. And, that's what ended up happening there.
Slav, you just educated me on some of that. I didn't realize that all went in.
Yeah, they love talking to Evo because Evo flew a Taiwan flag, even though he's, from USA. He's, his family's from Taiwan. And he had a really close relationship with TC, and TC shared with us, what they were trying to do. And there was a lot of pushback, like you mentioned, as far as their subclans upset that they went the route as far as working with what they viewed as a U.S. clan. But he felt it was important to try and build that team together and try to get success for not only his members but also for you guys as well too. So
and there was 40 members. There was 40 members at the time, so it was an easy split. But man, did I get the angry emojis from the Taiwan sub clans. They were not happy.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time period at that time, because I know there's a lot of sour grapes from our members as well too. That, I mean, there was a little bit of a pride, like, all right, they can't beat them just as their singular self, but they had to go form a super team to do it. But at the same time, it's like, it just helped build the level of just continuing to compete and try to be better.
Right.
Yeah, that was definitely another that merge was huge, because at that point, anytime we played, it was like, what can we even do to really compete with this? Like, that was definitely some crazy times, and you guys were putting up mad points.
That was a super team. I'll say, I mean, you guys could have been upset that we had USA, and a couple of guys called us out on that. But that was only like 4 players. Taiwan was half of our team. Simply half of our team. We lost guys through that too when we came back to BombZ.
For sure. So on to the next merge / acquisition. Was it a fail? Was it a success? Let's talk about Vengeance, Slavo.
Okay, so this actually happened through coincidence here. So when we were going on our 5-run streak, BombZ, you guys were trying to figure out, I guess, what to do as far as how to build your team up. And one of the strategies you guys had was you guys split your team in half to kind of build a competition and try to build up depth that way. And in doing so, you guys changed your flags to Antarctica as a team building group, which was great for Antarctica, whoever lives there. I mean, they got pretty high up there. But in doing that, it opened up the top 50 rankings for top nation for USA, because you guys all had the Antarctica flag. And through that, a couple guys hit our radar as far as recruiting, and they were on Vengeance. And you might know them today because they're prominent members on our senior leadership. Tap Tony and Hendo and Turtle Dub, they all came from Vengeance. When we talked to them, we did our regular recruiting pitch. We talked to them. They came to our Discord, and Tony was like, "We love it. We're coming aboard. We just got to tell our leader." And I was like, "What? You're not the leader?" Like, okay, well, this is going to be a very interesting relationship. And the guys who were on their team that wanted to be competitive came aboard, and they kind of had a group of people as well too that just wanted to relax, and they decided they didn't want to come aboard. So that was a quick in and out for the clan, for that group of Vengeance. But the guys that came on our team, just the ripple effects are still felt today, how important they are to our squad. Having guys like Tap Tony and Hendo, as far as just making sure our squad on KingSlayers, whether it be just communication or making sure the rosters are set, or just making sure that everyone's having a good time. Even when things get tough, they try to make sure that everyone's having a good time. So that's still felt to this day. And that's just part of our constant evolution, where during that 5 championship run, I think guys kind of lost some of that motivation and drive. And some guys were happy, just, they were done already. They didn't want to play. They didn't want to compete. 72 hours of clan battle every other weekend ends up being a drag after a while. It ends up, killing yourself doing that. So some guys were done, and we continue to evolve. And that was just part of our evolution, was finding those guys in our squad and getting them to jump in on what we're doing.
Interesting you brought up the Antarctica flag, because that was an interesting time for me. I almost quit BombZ. Thor was leader, and that's where me and Thor's falling out started. I'm not blaming Thor. Now in hindsight, whatever. But I didn't like spending the gems. I didn't understand the direction. I didn't understand just a lot of things. They started wanting to change the team name. That BombZ tattoo, that was such a huge victory for us. You'd see BombZ tattoos everywhere. I mean, I didn't understand what we were trying to do. So yeah, that started the fallout between me and Thor. I almost left, and ironically, I would have left for Going Deep. I was talking to John the Don at that time. So
yeah, I think several times throughout the year we kind of had to rediscover and figure out how we can make this work for our squads, both of us, at different points throughout the year. When you guys formed the super team with Taiwan Bombs, we had to go through that self-discovery as well too, to figure out what we needed to do to get to that next hump and try to continue to be successful. So I think both of us, and even our squads, our management team, we all had to keep evolving throughout the year.
Absolutely. Slav, did you ever consider, not consider, actually like deeply consider quitting the game?
Not quitting, but when we won 5 in a row and we lost to the super team for Taiwan Bombs, there was a certain point where we had a couple of our management team did defect and they formed their own team, and I took it personally. And I think one of the talking points as well too, also Pooty and ODB ended up going to Bombs at that point as well too. And I actually did step down from leadership for about a month. And I kept it quiet. I don't think a lot of people knew. I mean, the ones that are in the know, they kind of know. But I was just a regular member. I told the guys like, hey, I need to check out of the management side. Let me just, rediscover just being a regular player and go from there. And, through that month, I kind of regrew that passion as far as wanting to win and wanting to be on, the best again. And, by that month, I was like, give me back my damn leadership. And I was like, we're going to take this again. And yeah, I think for a lot of people, especially for what we've done, especially people in the same boat as us, you kind of question yourself, like, can you continue to keep doing it over and over again? Just keep hitting your head against the wall. So, yeah, of course. I think throughout the year, I think both of us and other people do that as well too. Like, why are we doing this?
Right. I think my favorite moment in KingSlayer.
And it's expensive.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment in KingSlayer history was actually removing the King's role from Slav. That way, he was just a regular member.
Yeah, I was like, people would be like, "Hey, can you change my permissions?" Like, I can't do nothing, bro. I got nothing over here anymore. You figure it out yourself.
Let's move on. Slav already mentioned it, right? Pooty and ODB, the dynamic duo of HRC. Obviously, some pivotal things happened between those two. Who wants to start with that one?
I can. So Pooty and ODB, two members that came up through the ranks of KingSlayers. Pooty, I believe he joined our first sub-clan, Young Lions, that turned into Lion Slayers. And then ODB, I think he came from Hall of Fame, when it was Hall of Fame Slayers. And both guys connected through our group. They both were a part of my management team. They got really close and they just became best buds. They talked every day on a regular basis. And we were at the end of our 5 championship run. And I think things just got kind of stale. Things got kind of stagnant. And some of that is my fault as far as how I ran the team. As far as, I had a lot of control issues at that time where I wanted to make sure things ran smoothly. So I would tell people where they needed to go for recruiting, or tell them, hey, go visit this clan to help things out. And I think for them, they needed more freedom. And Champs provided that for them. He talked to them. He told them, this is what we're doing on Bombs. We're not laying down for you guys. We're building a dynasty over here, and you guys will be great, a part of our team. So I believe you guys still did win one before they went over, and then we won 2. And during that time where we won 2, I think that's when they ended up going to Bombs at that time. So yeah, and from there, I think Johnny can tell their side what happened on that side over there.
Yeah, that's obviously the start of the worst time in the game for me. So, I mean, yeah, they came over. They made a lot of promises. They made a lot of, and they came through with their points. I'm not going to lie. But it felt like from the start of them being there, they were going to return to you guys. It was just that the way it went down. And I guess this is more about the Bomb's implosion. I guess this is more about, so that's why there was hard feelings between me and ODB. And I'll say on air here, I was wrong. I shouldn't have went so personal. Pooty, I think Pooty was doing it in an honest way. I think ODB just Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm going to get too personal here again.
I will say that when they went over, we had no clue that eventually they would come back, months later. Like at the time, like a lot of our guys took it really personal, and like they were like, they're dead to us. Like they left, they defected to our arch rivals, and a lot of our guys were really hurt that they actually did that. So there was a lot of hurt feelings on our side. We had no clue what would happen months later down the line. We definitely at that time was like, we lost two important pieces of our team. So that was definitely a big blow to us.
And then go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I remember I was like demanding Habanero like ban them from the community page, like ban champs. He freaking recruited our players.
I remember that.
I got an agreement with Johnny that we never do that, this and that.
Yep.
And like, yeah, there was definitely a lot of tension at that time.
Johnny, what was the vibe from your team when they first came over? Like, was everybody on board for them coming over? Was there anybody against it? What was that vibe from your team when that talk was going on?
There was a lot against it. You guys got to remember, I started the spy wars between me and Slavo. I sent Killer over. I mean, I started that. There was a lot against it. They really wanted no part of that. But then one battle went by, and we saw the numbers, and they were like, yeah, I guess these guys are pretty cool. So, it's kind of a simple transition when you need those points. And you guys got to remember, that's right around the star merger time.
Yeah.
So it was like everything that could go wrong, was going wrong for you guys, and it was lining up for us. And like you said, Slav, that wasn't a merger. That was a super team. So that was a big deal.
I will say, as far as just the skill level, that was when Pooty was like finding himself to be like the dominant player that he is today. Like he was emerging as being like one of the top 5 players in the game at that moment. So not only like losing, our senior management and losing guys that were important to us, but losing such a dominant player that way was like very, very hard for us at that time period. And then ODB grew into a beast on your guys' squad. I mean, at the time, he was a very good player, probably top 20, top 30, but he turned into a top 10, top 5 guy on your guys' squad.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure with us, they both were each doing maybe, around 10K. And, if you guys are watching, leave a comment, correct me. But as soon as you guys, they joined BombZ, right? And I think whatever they picked up from you guys over there, or what it was extra motivation, I don't know what it was, but I remember seeing them do 20, 25K at that point, it seemed like. And, right. Those two were just bringing in some numbers. So it obviously, whatever team they were on, it was going to help swing, that way, which was crazy. So.
And guys, think about the impact of 20K. I'm always on there bragging. This will be my 22nd, this coming battle. But I've only done 20K once, and it was 20K and such a little amount over. I was done. Those guys were doing 25. Man, and they were doing it over and over. Yeah. That's crazy production.
Yeah, I think that was the moment for us as far as how we ran our operations. We knew we had to change when that happened, that, we couldn't just be so uptight as far as, this is how we want things to go. We had to be more open as far as what our members and what our management team wanted to do as far as growing the team. And I think that played a pivotal role in where we are today as far as, hey, we're definitely a group that we all want to win, but we all want to win together with everyone's thoughts and ideas. And I think that really changed at that moment. It wasn't just Slav the dictator after that.
So I will say that about bomb threats from the start. We had that rule in place right away. And not saying one way is right, one way is wrong. Slav, you did a lot of things with communication way before I did. So I could never say it was the wrong way that you did it. But it was a small management group, but we all had an equal voice. I will say that. When something got a little too, controversial, then I would step in and I'd say, all right, we're going to go this way. But normally we voted on everything.
Yeah, I allowed my members and teammates and management team to speak and give their piece and stuff like that. But as far as like final say on decisions, usually like They viewed me as like I'm in the high tower. I would just, by that time, how big we were, how many clans we had, it was a drain. I wasn't sharing responsibilities on the rosters. I was working on the spreadsheets. I was working on everything myself. So like, even when clan battle would end on Monday night, I would still be up till like 2, 3 in the morning trying to like compile all these CP scores on everything, and it just started becoming like its own job. Like I would do my regular job, and then I would do my job when I got to play the game. So by that time, yeah, it was definitely draining, and I think guys didn't see that, or I just pretty much just kept to myself, so guys didn't really know when I was making decisions why I was doing what I was doing. And I think just, with the vengeance thing, as Hab brought up, it actually did ruffle a couple feathers on our team. Like, why are we bringing in a bunch of, newbies on this squad? And I was like, you got to trust the process. And I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way, how we brought them in.
It's kind of funny. Anytime any sort of merge or deal or whatever you want to call it, right? Working with another team, I think each other team knew what was going on or heard a bit of it. And it was always a talk, right? Like, oh, you guys are talking to Vengeance. Oh, you guys are talking to USA. It was always brought up, one way or another. It's always fun to watch that stuff, and it still happens. Rumors spread, whether it was true or not. It's great. It's a good time.
Definitely.
So we kind of talked about, or we did, go over Pooty and ODB, which that kind of you hinted, right? That kind of led into them talking about merging with BombZ and KingSlayers. Who wants to start on that topic of that whole event?
Oh, I definitely will on that one. If you don't mind, Slav.
Oh, and now he disconnects. Blooper reel.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
There it is.
We're gonna do a blooper reel. Let me talk about it. Bloop. There we go. Okay, we're ready. All right, yeah. So let's go ahead and talk. Let's have you start off with that.
All right, yeah. I wasn't brought in on that right away. That was a crazy time because I guess Champs was talking to Pooty. Pooty was talking to ODB. ODB was talking to someone in Slayers, and ODB ended up, or Pooty said he was going to leave and just go talk to you guys, see what's up. And that's about when I was brought in. So ODB and Pooty are talking about leaving and just to go talk to you guys and stay for a battle. And that's what didn't make sense to me. Why stay for a battle? That part I'm not understanding. There was already talks. Slav, how long were talks in place before I was brought into the room with you, Hendo, Tap Tony, JRT?
So from my understanding, Champs reached out to me probably several days prior. I think so. This is what I know. Okay. And I'm sure there's what I know, what you know, and what actually happened. I don't think everyone's ever going to know exactly everything. But as far as what I was told was that both Pooty and ODB, I guess they had a change of heart as far as, wanting to come back to Kings. They reached out. They wanted to see if it even happened because, like I mentioned before, like guys were very bitter that, when they left, some people said eat shit and die. They were done with them or whatever. But, we talked about it and, we mentioned to them that, hey, if you're willing to come back aboard, we'll consider it. But, how is this going to play out? And I think for them, there was a respect factor as far as wanting to give you guys heads up. And I think this was all around the same time you mentioned before about Taiwan Star and their funds drying up. So it was mentioned to Champs like, hey, maybe we can work out a merger. The second time we tried to merge teams again. And I said, out of respect, I'm willing to listen. I figured that would be a difficult hump to get over, just considering the rivalry that we had built up. That was already 8 months, 10 months of a rivalry with members. I didn't know if that part would work, but I was willing to listen. And I mean, I guess the funny part of living in Hawaii, like I always miss the morning time with everything developing. And by the time I woke up, I'm in a server with Sar, Johnny, and Champs, and we're discussing merger talks one morning. I'm just like, what is going on here?
Was I in that server before you?
Yeah, well, I mean, they might have included me, but like I didn't wake up till several hours later, and I'm just like, what am I doing here?
See, that's where I get confused because my timelines are going to be a little bit screwed up on that. But like I said, I was brought in later to actually talk about merging. And by that time, Czar had already, this is too great. Czar called me at home after I was included, and he's telling me why it's great. We can finally relax. We can just go out there and win. And I was like, Czar, I don't know, man. A lot of guys are not going to like this. And that's when Thor and Breezy and Rainin and G Money and all these guys stood up and said, I'm not going there. There's no way I'm going there. That is what caused the bombs to blow up right there. I started saying, guys, we can regroup. If you don't want to go, don't go. You know what? The guys that want to go, go. That we can regroup, though. We can try something. And that's when it all fell apart because Czar said, I'm gone, left the server, went right over. And, you know, Czar's influence is huge.
Yeah. So once again, like, I don't know what happened in your guys' meeting and stuff like that. All I was told was that Pooty and ODB was going to have a conversation with you guys to respectfully let you guys know that they were coming over. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning and SAR's in our server, and I'm just like, what the frick is going on here? Like, once again, like, it was just like a Twilight moment. Like, what is he doing on our server? And I'm reading everything over. I'm like, he came over, and I 100% agree that, you know, yes, losing Pooty and ODB, it's big because, you know, just the influence they have on your team and the CP scores and things like that. But, like, at that time, SAR was, you know, an enigma, just like how we mentioned about Evo, as far as the reputation he had. And I agree that once that got pulled under, then, like, you could just see everything unraveling. And it went from one player defecting to, like, I want to say 7 on that same day. Like, it turned into the weirdest Sunday for me ever when that happened. Like, we're doing, like, interviews with guys like, all right, do you really want to come over? You know, this is what we do. This is our style. And they're like, yeah, cool, I'll do whatever. And I was just like, wow, what just happened? Like, the power switch just flipped on its head on that one day, just because SAR was like, I'm done. I'm ready to go over.
Yep, absolutely. And like you said, several other big scorers left, just like that. And like I said, Thor was our sub-clan guy. So he was going to be able to take pretty much of the sub-clans. Right there, I knew it was done.
I really feel, you know, once you guys with the super team were built and you guys went on your four game run or 4 championship run, we up at the top, maybe it wasn't everyone, but we made a conscious effort to try and tear down these walls as far as the rivalry was concerned. We didn't want it to come off like we hated you guys. And, you know, there were some guys that still to this day will probably say like they dislike, you know, bombs and stuff like that. But we knew that we had to come across differently. And I think if we didn't do that, we probably wouldn't have had as many guys defect over to us when we made our efforts to, hey, we're all human beings. We all could have been on the same team differently. You know, things played out differently. You know, I could have been a bomb. JRT could have been a bomb. Evo could have been a bomb. You know, you guys all could have been Slayers earlier. You know, there's no difference in player. It's just, you know, who you want to hang out with and who you want to spend your time with. So,
and on the flip side of that, my talking did not help me, obviously. What's funny, I will say this, and I'm not defending anything because I'm a hothead Italian and that's just who I am. but I'm just going to say this. I was being honest when I said, not to get too personal, but something big in my life changed. And my daughter was finally diagnosed as doing really well. I was hating a lot more than KingSlayers. I was hating people on the street. I was hating people at work. It was just a hard time. Again, does that excuse my comments? No. But yeah.
Yeah. But I do feel that, you know, that weekend, I don't think any of us knew what was going to happen and how it was going to play out that way. I really felt like you guys were going to land on your feet and regroup and come up with another super team to come up against us. Like, I did not think it was going to play out the way it did. If you play that out 100 times, 99 times, I don't think it was going to play out that way. It was just that one time where SAR decided that he was done and he just wanted to, you know, be on Kings and form that super team. And that's what ended up flipping everything.
Right. I've got to add one more thing. Slavo came out and said, this is a sad day for HRC. which is something you're not going to see in Fight Club very often. And G Money right away messaged me, and he's like, see, I shouldn't have called out G Money, whoops. But he's like, come on, do you buy that? I was like, dude, to be honest, I kind of do. I buy that just because a rival needs the other rival. Whether you're winning or losing, you need that. The game loses something when you don't have a set. Slav, if it wasn't for you, I'd be nothing in this game. Honestly, I say that wholeheartedly. We needed a rival. If there wasn't a rival, this would be a waste of time.
I agree. I would say I probably, if things came easy and maybe we won one championship, I told you in the beginning, I was like, I'll just retire right after the first championship.
Right.
Like, I think the trials and tribulations and the efforts that we put in, like, it's hard to walk away from it because we wanted to see each other, you know, we wanted to win for our team, and we wanted to see the other team lose, you know. So I definitely, that was not the way I wanted to win. It was definitely not the way I pictured it. You know, I wanted to see us, you know, be successful, but it wasn't in that type of fashion. That definitely wasn't how I pictured it.
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone.
Go back. Whoops.
Oh, sorry. I can't speak for everyone from both sides of the teams, but I do feel like the beef, you know, that was going on between, especially the leaders, right? I think that really fueled the players, the managers, especially, you know, for each side to really push even more, because it was just like, you know, it's that rivalry, right? It just pushes everybody.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that made great bulletin board material, all the stuff that was put on Facebook. Not even Johnny stuff, like just even champs in general. Like, I always, still to this day, I mention like the post that he did, like the 60-minute article where he's calling me, you know, Charles Manson or Hitler or whatever. Like, I mean, I make fun of it now, but like at the time I was like, man, that hurt. That like freaking hurt. I was like, he got me.
Johnny's got some good ones. I will say, he's got some clever nicknames.
Yep, very clever. Hey, same thing with Johnny too, man. You come up with some really clever ones as well. I was like,
hey, thank you.
Benedict Sarnold. I was rolling on that.
That was okay. That was funny. As much as we didn't want to laugh at that, we laughed at it.
Yep. Yeah, you got some good ones.
Everyone on that board is a blast. I'll say that. I go off way too often. I know this. I've been nice for a couple days, though. You guys got to give me that.
Yes.
Yep. You're on a good run. You definitely are on a good run.
All right. So the implosion happened, and then KS goes for a 9 straight, and then we get challenged.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we did our 9-piece chicken nuggets bucket there. We put up quite a bit of wins. But I mean, I think a lot of the people in the community that were in the know kind of knew that, you know, once we had the team we had, there wasn't going to be much of a competition for first place. You know, we try to come up with ways to be, you know, consistent and try to motivate the guys. But yeah, it's hard when you don't have a rival. And one of the teams caught us by surprise, which was Japan Pride, and their Pearl Harbor attacks that they did. They pretty much moved their secondary clan, which was Ruby, all the way off the top 100 chart, so no one was prepared for it. And at that time, our Japanese communication skills, as far as interacting with our Japanese members that we had friends with, we weren't really communicating. So none of us were prepared for what was happening. And you know, it ended up being a 3-day battle, and it was a holiday in Japan on Monday, and they pushed us to our breaking points. And you know, that first 24 hours, we were able to make up during the daytime, but at night they would always push back on us because, of course, just based on the time difference, they had more guys on when they're awake, and we had more guys on when we were awake. And it just came down to it where our guys pushed hard, and we set a record for 3 days. We both put up over 1 million points that weekend. That was pretty gnarly.
It was impressive to watch. I'll say that. I didn't know where that was going to land.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we felt that going into the third night, if we could, the second day, if we could just build up enough of a lead where once it hit nighttime for us, they would just have to spend the time just trying to get up to where we're at, and then we'll just, you know, turn on the after blasters afterwards during the daytime, and that's what ended up happening. So, but yeah, very fortunate. You know, it was a tough battle, and one that we were not prepared to get into at that time. So we had to, you know, buckle up and tell everyone, guys, wake up. The drills, everything we've been doing to practice for when we would have competition. Here it is, time to go. And at that time, our guys responded, and we did very well.
For sure. Yeah, definitely crazy times. Let's talk about, Johnny, your journey after Bomb split up. Where did you go? What was your next steps? What did you want to accomplish? And where are you now?
It's crazy because when I went to USA, so much had happened. So much in the game, in my head, was wrong that I put up points like I always did in USA. They were happy with me. I still brought energy, lots of cracks on their board and all that, but it just didn't feel right. And I blew USA for myself. USA, they were good to me. And I didn't like one guy there. And one night, I might have had a little bit of
Tito's.
And literally Tito's. And I went off. And I went off in clan. I don't do that. I've never done things like that. And I had enough. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about quitting the game, but it didn't feel fun anymore. Like Slav said, whether I was the leader or not, I was involved in everything in bombs, every negotiation. Nobody talked to nobody until obviously, and even that one I was involved with the KS merge. That's in USA. I was a voice, but not a voice with a lot of weight behind it. It just, nothing felt right. So USA, 5 battles, however many points, I get thrown out of there. I was like, what's next? What can I do? And believe it or not, because I'm actually teaching guys again and I'm coming up with ideas and, I feel like an important part there again, going deep made it happen. I love the game again. It lit that fire. So like I said, I've done more for going deep than I did for USA as far as CP because I'm so motivated again. It's been a fun ride, and I like the guys there.
Definitely. It's definitely cool to see Going Deep starting to grow up in the charts some more, which is awesome. Yeah. It's always fun playing you as well, and anybody that we talk to on a regular basis. Yeah, boy. Now we have a off question here. Will Bombs ever make a return? Will they ever have a Bombs Revenge clan?
I'll start that one. Yeah, but it won't include me. I've talked too much to too many people that are now on Slav's squad. There's no way. Pooty said, it could happen. And we were joking about it. And I said, we've got to save one spot for Slav. We've got to battle just once together on the same team. But come on, man. There's no way.
I think what we learned from that one night, because that night that Slav was sleeping and not knowing what was going on, anything can happen in this, between any of our teams, right? So,
right,
you may never know what's the new shakeup, what the new group is, what the new team is. I mean, Japan came out of nowhere, Japan Pride. So we may never know.
That's
Spicy
true.
Squad 2021.
I feel like we played this game in dog years, and like even though like what might feel like 2 weeks for everyone else feels like months for us because of how much stuff goes on in detail. So like even though it might have been a calendar year, it feels like years to me as far as like the amount of time and effort and just detail that we've gone into the game. And yeah, like Hab said, like I just don't feel like you can close doors anymore as far as options. Like you might think like, no, hell no, that's never going to happen. And 2 months, 3 months down the line, it happens. So I'll never say no. I mean, you never know. Like maybe I get booted out and then I go to Going Deep. Never know. So we'll see.
You're welcome.
Tell John, save me a spot.
Oh yeah. Well, no, you got the whole Spicy Squad.
This guy's been spotting Spicy Squad Insurrection for months here, so I'm just waiting for it.
I'm planting the seed for everybody. Just wait. 2022 is when people be like, man, who's going to take down Spicy Squad?
Right?
Just save me a manager spot. That's all I ask.
All right. Anything you guys have any want to go over? Do either of you have questions for each other that you want answered? Is there anything that you guys can think of that you want to talk about on this video?
Let's see. No, I mean, I feel like we know each other's business so much from the BombZ days and Slayers days, because we're both in each other's channels and stuff like that. And if we didn't know, people told us. I mean, as much as we wanted to keep it hush hush, it always got out there. So I mean, I think history wise, we hit some pretty solid points as far as what happened.
Slav, I have one for you. Did it ever intimidate you that I'm Italian and I have that abnormally large penis? Did that ever in game? Did that ever get to you in game?
Yes, in stream, yes, yeah. I was like, fuck, it's this guy. He's gonna just swing his dick around.
Oh, God.
Thank God my wife's not home to call me a liar, by the way.
Right. Oh, there you go. That's not necessarily a question, but shout out to all the girlfriends and wives that allow us to play this freaking game and just roll their eyes at us while we spend 48 to 72 hours trying to win an epic chest at the end there. So shout out to them.
Yeah, much love, ladies.
Awesome. Well, that about wraps up this awesome podcast with the two leaders from the two most notable teams in HRC community. I appreciate the both of you joining on. Anybody that's watching, if you want to be on a podcast, you have a story to tell. Rumors with G Money. I think that's a great idea. He's the one that knows it all, right? Let me know. Once again, thank you guys. Do you have anything else to say before we close this out?
Yeah, that guy and that guy are pretty cool.
Right back at you, man. Much appreciated.
If you want to join KingSlayers, go kings-slayers.com/join. Join the kingdom.
Johnny, where's your recruiting post? Where's it at?
Yeah, no kidding. Going deep. KingSlayers. Who? Going deep. That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again, and that wraps it up.